Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Gotta jump into some bite down boxing talk. It's the top of the week, a phenomenal fight week for boxing in the super lightweight, 140-pound undisputed fight between WBC, WBO champion Jose Ramirez and then IBF and WBA champion Josh Taylor. Where's he from? Sweden? Not Sweden. That don't sound right. Where the hell is Taylor from? The Tartan Tornado. But anyway, man, I've just been seeing some different stuff about maybe the fight not receiving the promotion that it deserves based on the magnitude of it in the boxing world, with it being an undisputed fight. We don't get many, heck, there's only 8 undisputed champions in the 4-belt era. Claressa Shields being the only one to do it in 2 different divisions. So we don't get many fights like this, but it's here. It goes down. I love the start time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, Saturday. The fight will be supported, in the main card by another super lightweight contender in Jose Sean Zepeda taking on hammering Hank Lundy. Haven't seen Lundy in a while, but he'll be on that card, as well as 140-pound prospect Elvis Rodriguez against Kenneth Sims Jr., boss man. I believe he's out of Chicago, I want to say. So that's pretty decent. The rest of the undercard, it'll be on ESPN Plus. I believe that starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. None of the names really jumped out to me a whole lot, but the card itself, I think, is going to be excellent. In terms of the promotion and the coverage this week, I don't really know what more ESPN can do. Of course, they have the capability and the platform and the name recognition and everything that you want to do whatever. We just got to accept the fact that, like, boxing is really a 3rd or 4th tier sport. It's a niche sport. And despite the fact it's going to be, I believe it's going to be an excellent fight. 2 undefeated fighters. Taylor is Scottish. I think he's from Scotland. I think. But despite all the interest from us diehard boxing fans and real, and boxing fans, real boxing fans, whatever you want to put in front of it, we don't see either one of the guys on First Take. At least I didn't see anything today. I really didn't see any mention of it, on Get Up. A lot of the TV personalities on ESPN, they don't really seem to be boxing fans themselves. I don't know if they would even do the fight a service and talking about it and having these guys on. There are a couple of digital projects out there on Top Rank's YouTube channel, I believe. I haven't checked those out at this point. I don't know what they do. This is a fight, though. This is a matchup. While Josh Taylor is the only one that's garnered some pound for pound consideration, I had him at the end, on the tail end of my last pound for pound list that I submitted to Round by Round Boxing. But while these aren't standalone favorites in the world of boxing, they are highly respected champions, highly regarded champions. Like I said, it's going to be an excellent fight. It's just no real crossover appeal in either one of these guys. So maybe that's a reason why we don't see a huge media push on ESPN. But what I will say is this is a matchup that I would love for UFC fans. I would love for them to see this fight. And I would be confident in the fact that they would be viewing a really competitive fight. I believe both guys will really go at it. and it won't take a boxing diehard to interpret what's going on in the ring. I think it's going to be a good fight, and that any level of fan, newcomer, somebody who just stops by ESPN Saturday night, I think they'll enjoy the fight. So I'm hoping, because UFC has something going on. It seems like every weekend with ESPN. So I think it's an excellent opportunity for more eyes to get onto the sport. I don't think it's a pair of guys who are going to be completely defense first and super cautious. I think they will start engaging freely, maybe into the first round, middle of the first round, things could really start to get cooking. I don't really have a winner just yet. So let's look at the matchup itself. What I'll share at this point. Ramirez has probably been a little bit more has had the better activity going through the pandemic. He had the 12-round decision with Postal. He mentioned that he had been in camp a really long time. He was a little burnt out from that. He was missing his kids. He was missing his family because that fight took so long to get done for various reasons. So it extended the camp. And he also said, he really had to adjust to the environment of fighting in the bubble without fans in conjunction with being homesick. He won the fight. Postal had a great night for himself. He gave a great account of himself. And it ended up being a competitive fight. It looked somewhat tough for Jose Ramirez. On the other side, Taylor, coming out of the World Series boxing, World Series, the World Boxing Super Series. He gets past Baranchik. I think he beats Baranchik, and then beats the kid from Tennessee, Ryan Martin, embarrasses him, and then has a great fight with Regis Prograis. So, but then his activity during the pandemic was the Menipsapong or whatever his name was. I don't even think he even had to dodge a punch in that fight. It was the IBF mandatory for him. Like I said, ended in the first round. Really, the biggest challenge for Taylor in that fight was just making weight. He had to hit the scales a couple times, I believe. Came through successful on the second time and whatnot. So I think Ramirez has had the better activity during the pandemic. To this point, I think that Josh Taylor has probably had the better. Salcedo was a good fight. Mo Hooker was a good fight for Ramirez. Postal had a great night and really pushed him. So that's kind of an even category to look at. So it's a kind of evenly matched fight. Obviously coming off of the decision against Postal and some of the post-fight criticism, I would expect Ramirez to be really charged up, looking to make a statement. This is the opportunity, I believe, for the first Mexican undisputed fighter, maybe. So it's a lot at stake. And, I'm just expecting a phenomenal fight. Taylor, it's hard to really see him getting out of the two. I kind of see him being the one least likely to get knocked out. I really do. Standing in there with Prograis, 12 rounds. Prograis was very praised Taylor for his grit, for his toughness, for his chin. He really tried to press Taylor early and thought that he could make the guy fold. He hit him with some of his best shots, and he was, he mentioned in several interviews that he was shocked to see Taylor still around and still in the pocket, late in the fight. mixing it up and whatnot. So I really don't know if I see Ramirez able to knock Taylor out. Then on the other hand, I really don't see Taylor as a knockout. Like, he doesn't seek the knockout. He's not really a knockout fighter in my opinion. So I would think that in the least the fight goes 9 to 10 rounds at a minimum. Can something happen after that? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I think it'll be a decision, but I think it'll be a very physical fight. A lot of punishment doled out. I think there's a fair amount. I think it's two great competitors. I like the competitive spirit in both fighters. And then, again, all the chips are up for grabs with all of the belts being in place. So I think it's going to be an excellent fight, man. Like I said, I don't have a winner at this point. Yeah, it's a tough call. I know who I'm leaning towards, but I do want to see some more face to face. Hear some some of the once they get into some of the interviews this week or the press conferences. Want to see who's speaking confidently, who who seems the most prepared. Are there any weight issues? I saw the 14-day weigh-in. Both guys were under 149 at that point, really around 148, both of them. So we'll see what happens there. One note that I did come across, I heard Taylor in an interview, and he was mentioning that he almost had to pull out of the fight until Bob Arum got involved with helping him get into the country in an acceptable manner for him. At first, he was being told he might have to go to Mexico and quarantine for X amount of days and find somewhere to train down there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But somehow or another, Bob Arum up top rank got involved. What's up, Marty? What's Taylor's best advantage, you think? I just think his toughness and probably his versatility. Like, I don't know, Taylor, Taylor doesn't really jump off the screen for me in any one particular way. Very versatile all around. I do think he has a bit of, I don't know if it's like what we normally consider a dog. When different Andre Ward and some of the different guys get to talking about dogs, I don't know if I've seen that in him necessarily. But I do think he's a fiery competitor, which is another way of saying dog. So I think that's it, man. Just the versatility. I think the World Boxing Super Series has exposed him to, world-class fighters and given him that type of experience. We don't have that same question about the Euro guys that we have. Most recently, we saw Billy Joe Saunders get tripped up by the stigma once again. If you look at it that way, with the multiple fractures in his face and whatnot. So I don't know if that really applied to BJ Saunders in a straightforward manner. But here with Taylor, like I said, I think he's been he's fought a great diverse group of guys, faced a number of different styles. And again, when you go 12 rounds with a guy like Regis Prograis, who was probably on the cusp of cracking into the pound for pound discussion himself, when you go 12 rounds with him in the pocket, fierce fighting over the last 4 rounds and definitely in the championship rounds, there's really no toughness questions, no durability questions to really ask of Taylor. He's proven himself. So I don't really know that Taylor has any weakness going into this thing. My questions probably lie more with Ramirez for the most part, but I don't really have a whole lot of questions about him either. He put away Maurice Hooker convincingly. It just boils down to, how do you respect the boxing of these two guys? Ramirez is kind of a mix of, some boxing, and then it's a lot of grit, a lot of will, and, looking to get guys out of there. Is he a one-hitter quitter type puncher? No. Is he a slick boxer? No. I think whichever guy can identify what type of fight they feel best fits this situation and imposes their will first and can control the fight, I think that's how we'll get to our winner. But I think it's going to be some back and forth, big moments for both guys. I can see both guys being hurt, having to fight through some adversity, and just a really good fight, man. So again, I don't know if this is the marquee names that we look for oftentimes, especially here in the States, but I think it's going to be a damn good fight. The last thing before I get up off of here for my lunch, the end of my lunch break, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about, I had RAMIREZ from DAZN Boxing on a live stream interview, just boxing talk. And at that time, the decision was made to pull the plug on the daily boxing show on Sirius XM, which was a joint effort between DAZN and Fight Nation, or Sirius XM. And I have to admit, man, since that show went off 3 or 4 weeks ago, I really feel like it's been a big hit to a higher level of coverage for boxing. And that's why ESPN is weak. They're probably not going to do the whole car wash thing with a lot of appearances from Taylor or Ramirez on any of the mainstream shows that they had. Or if they do the live, they get them in there on camera live from Las Vegas or whatever. I don't know if any of that happens because they don't really, ESPN really doesn't cover boxing like that. So I think it would have been great if the daily DAZN show was still going on and those guys could have been doing some coverage around this event and getting interviews in with Ramirez as well as Taylor. I know everybody doesn't like Ak and Barack or didn't like those guys, but I can't argue with a certain level of mainstream coverage or a certain level of professionalism, the right environments, the right setting for an interview. I don't think either one of these guys have really done a whole lot with internet boxing as far as appearing on different different channels and lower level podcast guys. Some of the bigger YouTube channels. I mean, I guess your Fight Hubs, with them being kind of located out west or based out west, maybe they have a chance, whatever that shit is with Kim and Mario Lopez. I don't even know what the name. Some of those guys might be able to get a Ramirez. But Taylor, he's probably going to speak to 2 or 3, the athletic dudes, Coppinger. And I don't know that any of us listen to them and care about what they have to say or whatnot. So I just think this is a weird pairing where they're just not that they're not that active in social media or internet boxing to where we're not going to get, they're not going to be on the Boxing Voice, or they might start popping up on some Fight Hype content maybe in a couple days and whatnot. I'm sure they'll have somebody on site. But in terms of them calling into stuff and being widely available, just not your type of guy. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to keep it a buck. I really don't watch nothing on YouTube. I don't know what to tell you. I don't watch none of this shit. I'm really not that impressed with too many of the people doing it. That's just my opinion. I ain't saying I'm great at it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying a lot of the coverage out there, a lot of the channels, I don't really feel like a lot of the dudes know what the hell they're talking about. And I don't like hearing about boxing from that perspective. So I do minimal shit on here with boxing myself. So Michelle Phelps or whatever, I don't watch too much of her shit. Fight Hype, I think, is decent because they allowed the subject to do most of the talking. So I can rock with some of that. I guess you got Custer out there. I don't know if either one of these guys would pop up on Custer this week because of Custer is kind of PBC adjacent or leaning. So I don't know. That's it, man. I got to get out of here. It's my end of my lunch break. I might come back on over the next couple of days as I hear some different things develop, or I have some reactions to some different statements that are made. Again, this is kind of just like good boxing. I don't know if there's any, I think there'll be great moments in this fight, but as far as the pre-fight cinematics or theatrics, I really don't know if we see any of that this week. And I don't think boxing should need that type of bullshit for people to get interested. Just be excited about two excellent fighters and an excellent fight, and not having to pay $70 to see it, and probably not having to stay up until 12 o'clock Eastern time when they start walking to the ring. Again, I said it starts at 8:30 p.m. I'm all for earlier fights on Saturday night. So I'm super excited that it'll be two fights, two fights on the telecast, and then go right into the main event. So they probably get cooking about 10:15, 10:30 Eastern time, depending on how much they want to beat around the bush with all that bullshit that they do, spacing stuff out. But anyway, bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Marty, thanks for the question. Thanks for checking in with me. Anybody else, please come back to the channel if you dig the way boxing is being talked about here. If not, you have plenty of alternatives out there. I'm out. Peace.